You're welcome. Well, my next guest is going to talk with me about politics, because this is the final sitting week before they have what's known as the winter break. There's a few things on the boil and we're going to cover them. And then I'm joined by Liberal Senator Holly Hughes. Holly, thanks so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate you giving up your Sunday evening ahead of a very important parliamentary week.
It is. Good evening, Cory.
Now, I'm going to take you on a trip down memory lane, because I remember your first speech. It was notable. You may want to forget parts of it. We all do. But you spoke off the cuff. You spoke from the heart about something that I know is very important to you. And I just want to share this with the viewers tonight before we get into one of your favourite topics.
But there are two areas I am deeply passionate about that are very close to my heart and that I will pour my blood, sweat and tears into. The first is drought assistance in regional economies. The second is autism and disability support. And fortuitously for me, I get to work for a Prime Minister who has promoted the NDIS portfolio to Cabinet, ensuring it is now a national priority, as well as bringing the importance of our country communities to the forefront of the national debate.
Holly, it was a memorable occasion, of course, for you and for all of us, because the passion that you spoke about the importance of NDIS and those living with disabilities was absolutely, spellbinding, and I was grateful to be there. But the NDIS has got a few problems now, and if I can put this to you, the budget has blown out from $20 billion to $30 billion, maybe even to $40 billion. It's going to be bigger than Medicare. How can we fix it or make sure that it works efficiently and effectively and taxpayers are getting good value for money?
Yeah, there's lots of things that we need to look at when we're talking about the NDIS, and this is the biggest social and economic program we've seen since the introduction of Medicare. It's incredibly important that we get it right. It is still a very new program, so of course there were always going to be bumps, and I did acknowledge that in my maiden speech, but we're starting to see now some of the issues that we need to focus on are not at the participant level. Yet if you listen to some of the complaints coming out of the agency, you'll see that it's participants that are being told, we need to focus on sustainability. These are the cost blowouts. And over the past couple of weeks, and I've been incredibly grateful to the receptiveness that Minister Reynolds has shown in the conversations that we've had. I mean, she's only been in the portfolio a couple of months. This is a really complex area, and there's lots and lots of moving parts to it. But when we look at some of the providers and the fees that are being charged, they're exorbitant. And that's not every provider, and it's certainly not a lot of the smaller independent companies, particularly those that weren't in the previous block funding model. But we look at some of the old big block-funded providers, and they really haven't adapted yet. Their administration costs are out of control. We know if they go out to visit an area to see clients, they don't charge one client for travel. They don't divide the travel up in between the number of clients they see. They charge every client the full travel amount. So when we want to look at sustainability, we need to look at the accountability in the way that the providers are funding this. We also have three tiers of management when you look at the NDIS. You can be agency managed as a participant, or you can self-manage. But there's been this sort of bizarre cottage industry that's set up in the middle where you can be what they call plan managed, but that's run by a newly formed business. And a lot of these businesses are linked to the big providers. So they're plan managed, all the money gets paid to them, it doesn't go into trust. So those companies fall over, there's the end of that money. So there's lots of things that we can look at. I know Minister Reynolds is looking at it, but there's no one more focused on sustainability than participants and their families. So we need to make sure that the conversation is sensible.
Yeah, and Holly, I don't know one Australian anyway that says we don't want a better deal for those that are with disabilities, their carers and everything else, but we do need value for money. We need to make sure the rorts are not there. And we've seen government programs, particularly, with the pink bats and other things, the school halls, absolutely get rorted, and we've got to put a stop to the rorts without damaging people's potential. But if I can jump on to another thing, which I just noticed you're part of the other day, and it involves defence, which has budget blowouts all of its own. You launched, I think, an unmanned or unpersoned, maybe, boat.
We said unmanned and all's,
I'm so pleased. I'm
Definitely
so pleased.
Unmanned.
But they're called the BLUEBOTTles or something. Tell us about it.
Look, it was fantastic on Friday. I'm so lucky because I get to look after the Hunter region of New South Wales, so do a lot of work with Minister Price. And defence industry is such an exciting area for Australia, not only for the work that we're doing in our security and what we're looking at from a defence strategy perspective, but also the innovation that we're seeing come out of this country is so exciting. And it's not only to support us, but also from an export opportunity, which is just fabulous to see. So the UNSW has been working with OCIUS, an organisation, as well as some other defence contractors and industries, and they've created these unmanned boats that can go out. They're powered by multiple ways of renewable energy, so they utilise wave energy, wind and solar. And they're incredible. And once they're out, they can be out for months at a time and used as part of our detection and monitoring forces without having to have crews on them.
They might be the submarines of the future. That's what we need. Hey, I've only got a little bit of time.
Well, they're definitely on the top of the water, but they might find them underneath.
Yeah. They can't be any worse than what's coming down from the French. Holly, two quick topics. Craig Kelly's introducing a vaccine passport bill. I'm not sure whether he's going to get any support from the Liberals. What can you tell us about that?
Look, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know what Mr Kelly is proposing. Last I heard with what he was saying, he was against vaccine passports. The reality is I've got to go to Queensland next week. I have been in New South Wales this weekend, so fingers crossed that still happens. But I will probably have to have a border pass to get up there. And so we fundamentally have a visa system in this country. My second vaccine's due in a couple of weeks. If I get to travel around freely without border passes, without masks on, airports, which quite frankly, some of the easiest places to social distance in, I'm happy to have it on my phone to give me travel around the country, and I'm pretty sure most Australians would be.
I've got about 40 seconds left, and I know you're going to play a very straight bat to this, but there's going to be a spill on this week with the National Party. I think Michael McCormack is done like a dinner, I think. Tell us, what's the inside word?
I don't know. You might know more than some of my National Party colleagues, because a couple of them didn't know what was going on when I spoke to them yesterday. But at the end of the day, this is a matter for the Nationals party room. I certainly wouldn't want them commenting on anything to do with the Liberal Party and its party room. So I'll certainly leave the commentary to members of the National Party.
That was an absolute block. I knew it was coming, Holly Hughes, but I appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to see you, and keep up the good work you're doing in Parliament. It's excellent.
Thanks, Cory.
Well, after the break, will they or won't they? That is the